Hello, this is Uncle Jim, and this is a trigger review for OddBallSchtuff. He has a stock AR trigger in his gun right now, and you know how those are, gritty, swoopy, heavy. And so I recommended him trying one of these because they're the best bang for the buck. Two-stage trigger, nickel boron. And my favorite is the Geissele SSAE for my go-to guns, super light, and then the Foxtrot mics, which they don't sell anymore. And this is a great value. These are, you can get them on sale like 60 bucks, 65 normal price. And I put one in my son's gun and I was very impressed. It was very close to the Foxtrot and just a hair heavier on the brake than the SSAE, but it saves you a ton of money. It's like $60 instead of, what Geissele wants. All right, so this is the trigger. Okay, and try and get them on sale. If not, I'll just, let's refocus. I'll just I'll mail you this one. You can pay me back with another. But the one I got from my son's gun was very good. So today's test is to see if it's consistent with the one my son got many moons ago, or months ago, a year ago, whatever. And so we're going to try this on an old AR I have. This has a spike slower, and then it has a 14.5-inch pinned flash hider to make it legal. And Spike's had Daniel Defense make their barrel for them and to their specifications, and it's an awesome barrel. It's super lightweight. Daniel Defense barrel made for Spikes. And years ago, I got contacted by Spikes when I did a review on this barrel, and he said, man, that's the favorite barrel we ever had made for uppers. So I put this barrel on here and kept it Spikes on the lower. Anyway, that was his favorite barrel. It's a great shooter. It's super lightweight. It's a lightweight barrel, and it's short if you don't have an SBR. Now I have an SBR, so it doesn't really matter, but I thought I'd put it on this gun anyway. So this gun has a nickel boron enhanced GI trigger, but they're still going to be heavy. When you go to the two-stage triggers, they can be light and reliable because of the way two stages are, and they're only like 60, 65 bucks. So this is going to be our second try at the Palmetto State Armory trigger, and I'll tell you how it feels. So I've already lubed it, but OddBallSchtuff knows. We have like a foot of snow I plowed today. In the wintertime, you want to use oil, okay? And then in the summertime, you can use grease. But don't do that in the wintertime. It gets a little thick. All right, so you lube all the spots. I'm mocking it up. I already lubed everything. Okay, the pins, everything's lubed. We'll throw it in here, in this lower, and I'll tell you if it's the same as the last one we got. That's what I want to see, if they're consistent, like Foxtrot mics or Geissele. Okay, those triggers I have always been consistent. Super nice trigger, and we'll see if this one is like the last one we tried, and go from there. All right, I'll take her down and then get back to you. Okay, this is the two-stage trigger. The disconnector's a little different. Okay, it's just flat right here against the spring. Here's like a GI trigger where it has the notch for the spring here. your disconnector spring. What I like to do is put a slave pin in here because it's a lot easier trying to hold all this together with your thumb while you're lining up your pin in the receiver. Okay, so a slave pin is always handy, especially with the Ruger 1022, and but you can do it either way. All right, so we're gonna just put this down, feet up here, and we'll slip her in here, get it under the safety there. All right, now I can see my slave pin, okay? And that makes it easier, so you're not holding your thumb down over the disconnector and trying to get everything lined up at the same time. Okay, so make sure it's under the safety there. There. All right, and then we'll just push our pin through, trigger pin, make sure it's lubed. All right. Okay, so that was much easier. We have our slave pin we can pull out now. Everything's aligned. Okay, now for the fun part. We got to put these springs in like that and have all that pressure in while we're putting it in, okay? And try and get the pin in at the same time. And so I get my spring in here. And I probably can't do this on camera because I'm gonna have to hold that sucker down until I line up the pin here. But it's not that hard, okay? I'm doing that right now for society. Okay, so that spring's got tension on it and we gotta line up the holes, but look at that. I got her started. Okay? It's not that hard. A lot of people like those trigger groups that are all one solid piece. Guess what? When they get dirty, what are you gonna do? I prefer GI style. Okay, so all you have to do is take your thumb and get her centered, get your pin started, okay, on your hammer right here. And then turn it over and look at the other side. You can see how that's off-centered. Get that centered. You don't want to mess up your receiver. And then take a brass mallet or the end of a mallet and tap her home. Okay, so it's all together. The main reason for this video is to see if the PSA two-stage trigger is consistent and the same. So I just played with my son's lower with the PSA trigger in it to compare it to this one. So I'll take the safety off here. You don't want to hit your receiver, so help it with your finger here. And let's see what the difference is between the first one we got that my son has. All right, the two-stage is a little shorter on this one. Interesting. It's barely a hair shorter. So you got that for your two-stage. And that just tells your sear that everything's okay to go. All right, so it's a little shorter on this trigger. All right, let's try the brake. Okay, it's crisp. It's crisp, but it seems like it's a hair heavier. It's a little bit heavier than the last PSA trigger we got. All right, let's try it again. It's super crisp though, that's good. That's real good, but it feels like it's a slight bit heavier. Okay, and then for you guys that don't know about two-stage, you after your first shot, it's all your reset. Okay, so right there, you just shoot it like that afterwards. However, you have a super clean break. This thing breaks clean. There's no grit. There's no swoop or griminess. It's super clean. Yeah, this one feels slightly heavier. It's definitely heavier than a Geissele and a little heavier than a Foxtrot, but it is way better than a stock trigger. It's super nice. This would be a good carry go-to trigger. And that might break in a bit. It's a very nice trigger. You could use this as a target trigger. You know, if you got a 16-inch AR and you target shooting, definitely good. I think my son is a little better. His gun is a little better on the break on this trigger. This one's slightly heavier, but it has slightly shorter two-stage on it. That's weird. Weird. All right, so they are going to vary. However, the two we own break super clean, and that's what you want, a clean breaking trigger. And I'm happy with it. It's fine. So there's that. Now, when you do safety tests, obviously you want to bump the stock big time with the safety on and the safety off. Bump the crap out of that. Make sure it doesn't go off. I've never had a problem with the two-stage, but that's actually a nice trigger. I'll take that trigger. Okay, it's a slightly heavier than the last one we got. So the PSA triggers are going to vary a little bit. Not as light as a Geissele, but you're not spending 3 times as much, okay? Yeah, I'll take that. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is load 1 or 2 rounds, depending on where you shoot. If you're in an indoor range and stuff like that, whenever you try a new trigger, don't just load a whole magazine. But I'm in the mountains, and if it goes off on me, it'll go up the mountain. So we're going to load 5 rounds in this and see how it operates. All right. I hope this helped OddBallSchtuff. The GI triggers are very good, but they're heavier, single stage, but they're much better than a stock trigger. They break pretty damn clean, but the two-stage is the way to go, in my opinion. And you don't need all those self-contained triggers. Like I said before, they get dirty. You're going to have to take them apart and clean them anyway. This is just as easy, doing it old GI style. All right, let's shoot 5 rounds, make sure it doesn't double on us, and after that, we'll test it some more. All right, you can see what era this is. It's kind of retro. All right, it's getting dark out. I just want to test the trigger. Usually you test it over and over, a few rounds at a time. I'm just going to do 5, and we'll test it later. All right, it's kind of dark out here. Can you see, boy? There's no critters out there. Ready? All right, I'll try 1 with the reset. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. What I like about this, the old Magpoles, you can hook your finger under here when you hold it. I always like that, but it's not free floating. All right, 2 more. Hooking the finger. And we're empty. Okay, until next time, that trigger actually felt really good. I got earplugs on. Son of a bitch in earplugs. That trigger actually feels good while you're running the gun, so oddball stuff, that's the way to go. I can set you up, GI trigger, whatever, but I would recommend getting one of these on sale for 60 bucks. That actually felt really good, and that is a perfect self-defense trigger that you can rely on because it's two-stage. Until next time, thanks for watching.